Very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Let us start the bulletin with the headlines. Parliament passes maternity benefit bill. Women in organised sector now entitled to 26 weeks of paid maternity leave. Parliamentary panel says no lessons learned from Uri and Pathankot attacks. In report submitted in Lok Sabha says defence budget insufficient for modernisation of our forces. 3 terrorists killed in encounters in Jammu and Kashmir. BSF and Park Rangers hold flag meet to maintain peace and tranquility at the border. Home Secretary likely to visit Jammu and Kashmir next week. Polling process wraps up in all 5 states. Preparations in place for counting day on 11th of March. Fate of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Manipur, Goa and Punjab governments to be known. And US sends 400 additional troops to Syria to help local forces recapture Islamic State stronghold of Raqqa. Reports say coalition airstrikes killed 20 civilians, including children. Well, in some good news for half of the world's population, Parliament on Thursday passed the Maternity Benefit Amendment Bill 2016. Well, the bill enables working women in the organised sector to be entitled to paid maternity leave of 26 weeks. Well, that is up from 12 weeks earlier. Well, the bill stands to benefit 1.8 million women. The new law will apply to all establishments employing 10 or more people, and the entitlement will be only for up to first 2 children. For third child, the entitlement will only be for 12 weeks. The measure now takes India to the 3rd position in the terms of number of weeks for maternity leave after Canada and Norway, where it is 50 weeks and 44 weeks respectively. Among other things, the bill provides for 12 weeks of maternity leave to a woman who legally adopts a child below 3 years of age. It also provides the same benefit of for a commissioning mother, that is defined as a biological mother who uses her egg to have a surrogate child. Now, speaking during the debate ahead of the passage of the bill, several female opposition members gave suggestions to better implement the provisions in the bill.
रूल्स में फ्रेम करके कहां तक महिलाओं को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मैटरनिटी बेनिफिट मिलना चाहिए, उसके लिए मैं वो कोशिश करूंगा.
I urge this government to think about this and make it mandatory just like it's for women. So should it be for fathers, whether he's single or whether he's married.
What about the unorganized sectors? Who will make these women employees aware of their benefits, that they are entitled to get the maternity benefits?
2 months before delivery and 4 months after delivery, I think would be ideal as far as I am concerned.
Not make this an isolated example of just leave. We need to integrate the Women and Child Department, the Health Department and Labour Department. If together they work, only then this is going to succeed.
More news from Parliament. Well, Women and Child Development Minister Maneka Gandhi hailed the passage of maternity bill as a historic decision. She also acknowledged that ensuring organizations implement the bill will be an uphill task.
ये बिल जो पास हुआ है, ये एक ऐतिहासिक कदम है हर औरत के लिए. मैंने और हमारे मंत्रालय ने बहुत कोशिश की ये बिल फ्रेम करने में, और मैं बहुत खुश हूँ कि पूरी सरकार ने इसकी सहमति करी, ऑपोजिशन ने भी सहमति करी.
Well, staying with the Parliament news, well, Home Minister Rajnath Singh is slated to make a statement in the Rajya Sabha today over the Lucknow encounter and the train blast in Madhya Pradesh. Well, the Home Minister had on Thursday made a statement in the Lok Sabha. In this regard, he has said that a possible threat to national security was averted with the killing of the alleged terrorist in Lucknow and the arrest of 6 others in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh on terror charges. Remember, the blast on the Bhopal-Ujjain train left 10 people injured. An anti-terror operation was carried out in connection with the blast on the outskirts of Lucknow, in which an alleged terrorist was gunned down. Well, addressing the Lok Sabha on Thursday, Home Minister Rajnath Singh informed the House that the Lucknow encounter will be investigated by the NIA. The issue of alleged hate crimes in the United States also resounded in the House, and the government will give a statement on the issue next week.
The National Investigation Agency will probe suspected terror cases, including the recent Lucknow encounter linked to a train blast. Making a statement in Lok Sabha, Home Minister Rajnath Singh also praised the father of the suspect, Saifullah, for his refusal to accept his son's body, calling him a traitor.
जब उत्तर प्रदेश पुलिस सैफुल्ला जो मारा गया है उसके पिता से मिले और उन्होंने उसकी लाश को हैंडओवर करने की बात कही, तो जो स्टेटमेंट दिया है उसके सैफुल्ला के पिता मोहम्मद सरताज ने कि जो देश का न हुआ वो मेरा कैसे हो सकता है, उसने कोई सही काम तो किया नहीं है, मुझे उसका मरा हुआ मुंह तक नहीं देखना है। और आगे कहा है, मैंने पूरी जिंदगी मेहनत की और परिवार को पाला है, लेकिन सैफुल्ला ने मुझे शर्मिंदा कर दिया। हर किसी के लिए देश पहले है, यह सैफुल्ला के पिता सरताज कहते हैं, जबकि सैफुल्ला देश का नहीं हो सका, इसलिए वह मेरा भी नहीं हो सकता है। इसलिए अध्यक्ष महोदया, मैं सैफुल्ला के पिता के प्रति सरकार की तरफ से भी पूरी सहानुभूति व्यक्त करता हूं और मैं समझता हूं पूरा सदन सैफुल्ला के पिता सरताज के प्रति अपनी सहानुभूति व्यक्त करेगा।
The Home Minister also gave details of cases registered in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh after the blast, in which 10 people were injured. He also informed the House that 8 pistols, 630 live cartridges, 1.5 lakh rupees, 3 mobile phones, 4 SIM cards, 2 wireless sets and some foreign currency were recovered from Saifullah's house.
दोनों राज्यों की पुलिस द्वारा त्वरित कार्रवाई करते हुए देश की सुरक्षा पर उत्पन्न संभावित खतरे को टालने में सफलता प्राप्त की गई है। इस पूरे प्रकरण की जांच NIA से कराई जाएगी।
Rajnath Singh also informed that India is viewing the alleged hate crimes against Indians in the US seriously. The government will make a statement on the matter in Parliament next week. Ravinder Sheran's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Defence, in its latest report tabled in the Lok Sabha on Thursday, has said that no lessons have been learned from the Uri and Pathankot terror attacks. Well, the report said that no concrete measures were taken to beef up our security in the frontline military bases. It also said that the scenario is as vulnerable as has been exposed during the Uri and Pathankot terror attacks. Well, the report targeted the Defence Ministry for not taking any measures to address the shortcomings. It also said that the defence budget of 2.81 lakh crore rupees for the next fiscal is woefully inadequate for the modernisation of our armed forces. It also said this may affect military preparedness. Well, the panel also criticised the Centre for lower allocation of funds to the DRDO, saying that it has forced the organisation to put on hold some of its major projects involving futuristic technology. And the Ministry of External Affairs has said that all 85 Indian fishermen who are in custody of the Sri Lankan government would soon be released. The ministry said that the instructions in this regard to the authorities concerned in Sri Lanka have been issued, and also said that it expects Sri Lanka to expedite the investigation into the killing of one of its fishermen who was killed off the Katachivu Islet. Well, India has said that it hopes Sri Lanka understand the gravity and the seriousness of the issue as well. Well, the Lankan Navy has, however, denied the allegation that it shot dead the Indian fisherman. Meanwhile, an investigation into the incident has been launched in Sri Lanka. And on Thursday, the issue of the safety of fishermen was also raised in the Lok Sabha, where members demanded a swift action on part of the government.
Honorable Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Thiru Edappadi K. Palaniswamy, also written a letter to the Honorable Prime Minister for this specific incidents, Madam. Hence, Madam, I strongly urge you to kindly take immediate and effective action to ensure that the lives and properties of fishermen are protected and that such incidents not allowed to recur, Madam.
In the last 1 week alone, 50 fishermen were arrested and their fishing nets, boats were seized. I urge the Prime Minister personally in intervening in this issue to use all possible means and powers to curb the unacceptable aggressive action of Sri Lankan Navy
in their arrest and imprisonment overseas, not just by Sri Lanka but also by Pakistan and now by the British and Diego Garcia. As I've suggested previously in this House, Madam, modernization of fishing infrastructure and a credible assistance package from the government are urgent requirements, Madam.
The government of Sri Lanka has informed the High Commission of India in Colombo that all 85 Indian fishermen currently in Sri Lankan custody will be released. We understand that instructions in this regard to the concerned authorities in Sri Lanka have been issued.
And on to our next segment, Verdict 2017. Well, the exit polls have predicted a hung assembly in Uttar Pradesh, where BJP will emerge as the largest single party, winning anywhere between 164 and 210 of the 403 seats. Well, most polls also forecast a close fight between the Congress, which is seeking to return to power in Punjab after 10 years, and Arvind Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party, which is making its debut in the assembly polls in the state of Punjab. Well, they also predict victory for BJP in Uttarakhand, although likely to lead the table in Goa was projected to fall short of a majority in the coastal state. Well, the Times Now VMR poll forecast 190 to 210 seats for BJP in Uttar Pradesh Assembly, while India News MRC gave it 185 and ABP Loknitika gave 164 to 176 seats. The three polls are projected 110 to 130, 120 and 156 to 169 seats respectively for the Samajwadi Party Congress Alliance, and 57 to 74, 90 and 60 to 72 seats for the BSP. In Punjab, the India Today Axis poll predicted 62 to 71 seats for Congress in the 117-member Punjab Assembly, a comfortable majority, and 42 to 51 to Arvind Kejriwal-led Aam Aadmi Party. The Shiromani Akali Dal BJP combined was projected to be decimated in the state, which it has ruled for a decade. Well, with the exit polls on Thursday predicting a hung assembly, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav did not completely rule out a post-poll tie-up with the BSP to prevent BJP from coming in power in the state. Well, Akhilesh Yadav, who had only days ago emphatically ruled out a post-poll alliance with the BSP, has now been quoted by BBC Hindi as saying that if there is a hung assembly in the state, he will prefer a partnership with the Mayawati's Bahujan Samaj Party over president's rule in the state. Remember, two surveys helped the BJP pass the halfway mark in the poll, which predict a hung assembly for the party. Well, remember, results will be declared for UP and 4 other states tomorrow. Let's listen into some of the political reaction on the exit polls.
ये सब टीवी चैनल और टीआरपी रेटिंग चलाने का तरीका है। हर चैनल अपने मजबूरी में ये दिखाना पड़ता है। हम जानते हैं किसका कान पकड़े हैं और किसका कलाई मरोड़े हैं ये सरकार ने, और ये बस जोशी बन के सब बताते रहते हैं, एक दिशा बनाना चाह रहे हैं कि यही जीतने वाले हैं। ये होने वाली बात नहीं है, क्योंकि वास्तव में अगर जमीन से जुड़े हुए लोगों से आप पूछेंगे तो कुछ और ही समझ में आता है।
अभी भी धर्म की ग्लानि हुई है, भ्रष्टाचार हुआ है, सड़कें फाइलों में बनी हैं, अवैध खनन की प्रक्रिया हुई है, काम नहीं कारनामे हुए हैं। इस तरह से आधे अधूरे सपनों की खिचड़ी को अच्छी तरह से जनता समझ गई है, और सबका साथ सबका विकास नरेंद्र मोदी का यह थोथा नारा नहीं है। सचमुच में नरेंद्र मोदी भारतीय राजनीति में एकमात्र व्यक्ति हैं जिनके प्रति लोगों में अभी भी आस्था शेष है,
बल्कि विश्वास है कि गैर भाजपा ताकतें सभी राज्यों में बीजेपी को हराने में कामयाब होगी। केंद्र सरकार अपने वायदे निभाने में नाकामयाब रही है और श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी मुख्य चुनाव प्रचारक थे, इसलिए जनता के रुझान भाजपा विरोधी होंगे।
एग्जिट पोल पर ये कहना है कि हम सरकार बना रहे हैं, 380 सीटें आ रही हैं हमारी। अच्छा, साथ ही बीजेपी को 25 आ रही हैं, अखिलेश यादव को 80 आ रही हैं। अखिलेश यादव जी ने कहा है कि अगर जरूरत पड़ी तो बसपा से गठबंधन करेंगे। कुछ नहीं, 380 सीटें जब हमारी आ रही हैं और 25 बीजेपी की आ रही हैं, तो क्यों काय का गठबंधन करेंगे?
तीनों मिल करके भी भाजपा के विजय रथ को रोकने में कामयाब नहीं हो सके। और आज जो एग्जिट पोल आ रहे हैं उसमें भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी, कुछ एजेंसियों ने, सर्वे एजेंसियों ने बहुत बड़े बहुमत के साथ भारतीय जनता पार्टी के उत्तर प्रदेश में आने की रिपोर्ट दी है, और कुछ चैनलों ने हमें नंबर 1 की पार्टी बताने का काम किया है, लेकिन मैं पूरे विश्वास से कह सकता हूं कि हम 300 से अधिक सीटें जीत करके उत्तर प्रदेश के अंदर एक ऐसी सरकार देने का काम करेंगे।
11 को रिजल्ट आ रहे हैं।
सर कितने नंबर आपको लगता है किसे बीजेपी चांस है?
एब्सोल्यूट मेजॉरिटी।
ओपिनियन पोल्स हमेशा अलग अलग होते हैं जी, ये कभी एक मत होता नहीं। अगर सब एक बात कहने लगेंगे तो इंटरेस्ट लोगों का खत्म हो जाएगा, लेकिन आप सबका जिस्ट निकाल के देखिए तो उसका एक ही ओपिनियन पोल आ रहा है। अगर सबका निचोड़ निकालेंगे तो 11 तारीख को आम आदमी पार्टी पंजाब में अपनी सरकार बनाने जा रही है और बहुत अच्छे मार्जिन से सरकार बनाने जा रहे हैं।
पिछली बार का एग्जिट पोल क्या कह रहा था, उससे पिछली बार का एग्जिट पोल क्या कह रहा था? पिछली बार तो आपने कांग्रेस की सरकार बना दी थी, कैप्टन साहब ने ढोल बजा लिए थे, तंबू लगा लिए थे, मिठाइयां बांटनी शुरू कर दी थी, वो बढ़िया सा एक जैकेट वैकेट सिलवा ली थी, अपनी अचकन वचकन सिलवा ली थी। हुआ क्या था? इंतजार करिए, अभी एग्जिट पोल को, पंजाब हमेशा एग्जिट पोल को झुठलाता है।
It is as per the expectation of the BJP and also public in general. We will be having comfortable majority. कम होने का सवाल ही नहीं। We would be crossing 21. Yes.
निश्चित रूप से हमने गए साल भर से जिस प्रकार की एक्टिविटी उत्तराखंड में की थी, उससे एक बात स्पष्ट हो गई थी कि वर्तमान सरकार से लोग नाराज है, निराश है, हताश है। लोगों को एक समर्थ और सशक्त विकल्प के रूप में केवल वहां भारतीय जनता पार्टी मौजूद थी। हमने पूरे साल भर की जो एक्टिविटी की उसमें जो एंटी इनकम्बेंसी थी सरकार की, वो लोगों को हमने सामने बताई और केंद्र सरकार की उपलब्धियों के बल पर वहां हमने देखा मोदी जी के नाम से बहुत अंडर करंट था। मोदी जी आज देश के सर्वाधिक लोकप्रिय नेता है, पहाड़ी प्रदेश में भी उनको बहुत लोग अप्रिशिएट कर रहे हैं।
निश्चित रूप से कहीं न कहीं एग्जिट पोल पर जो है वो विश्वसनीयता पर जो है वो सवाल खड़े होते हैं। और जहां तक उत्तराखंड का सवाल है, 2-3 एजेंसी ने जो दिखाया है, मुझे लगता है कहीं न कहीं उन्होंने जो है जो उनका सिस्टम है उसमें कहीं न कहीं कोई खामी है और हमको इंतजार करना चाहिए 11 तारीख का। और मैं अब भी कह रहा हूं कि उत्तराखंड में 2/3 बहुमत से कांग्रेस जीत रही है।
Around 42 we got, but this time it should be not less than 40, 42. Sometimes it may reach 45 also. We should have to work together for any development work, because we are all citizens of this vast country. And also, India is a federal structure. We should have to work together. I don't know whether they will help to us or not. That is up to them. But after all, we are also citizens of this vast country.
And now an update on the polls that took place in UP, Uttarakhand and Manipur yesterday, which finally brings to an end the election process in all the 5 states. While polling in Alapur constituency in Ambedkar Nagar district of Uttar Pradesh passed off peacefully yesterday, the 15th of February election had to be postponed after SP candidate Chandrasekhar Kanojia died of a heart attack while campaigning in Ambedkar Nagar on 12th of February. His widow Sangeeta Chaudhary contested from the seat. Over 60% votes were cast. Meanwhile, polling for Uttarakhand's Karnprayag constituency also took place on a Thursday. The 15th of February election here was postponed following the death of the BSP candidate Kuldeep Singh Kanwasi in a road accident. An estimated 58% voter turnout was recorded in this assembly constituency. In Manipur, repolling in the 3 districts of Imphal, Churachandpur and Kangpokpi took place yesterday. The repolling for the first phase of the state elections took place in 34 polling stations and a turnout of about 89% was recorded. Remember, the repoll was ordered following electoral malpractices in these polling stations. And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. A big story coming from Jammu and Kashmir, where 3 militants were killed by the security forces in Kashmir on Thursday in 2 separate encounters, during which a civilian also lost his life after being caught in crossfire. Well, 2 Lashkar-e-Toiba militants and 1 civilian was killed during a 9-hour gun battle between forces and terrorists in Awantipora of Pulwama district. Police said that militants continuously fired on civilians present in the areas, and as many as 13 persons also suffered bullet injuries. A 15-year-old civilian was killed after he suffered a bullet wound in the neck during the cross-firing. Meanwhile, train services from Banihal to Srinagar have been suspended temporarily as authorities apprehend that miscreants might target the trains along the South Kashmir tracks. Meanwhile, in a separate encounter, a militant of Hizbul Mujahideen was killed and 2 soldiers injured in Bandipora town. Well, a pistol and a hand grenade were recovered from the scene.
क्राउड के अंदर से भी मिलिटेंट का फायरिंग आया, जिसमें हमारे 2 जवान जो अभी एक 92 बेस हॉस्पिटल में एडमिटेड हैं और 1 जवान पुलवामा डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल में एडमिटेड हैं. उनको बुलेट इंजरी मिली है, बट रिपोर्टेडली दे आर स्टेबल. उसी तरह से क्राउड के अंदर से एक इंडिविजुअल का जो है डेथ हुआ है, जो कि बुलेट इंजरी के तहत है. बाकी इस पूरे एपिसोड में 13 इंडिविजुअल्स जो है वो इंजर्ड हैं, बट सभी इंजर्ड स्टेबल हैं.
At a sector commander level, a flag meeting was held between the Border Security Force and Pakistani Rangers in the Suchetgarh area of international border in Jammu on Thursday. Well, both sides agreed for a quick implementation of decisions taken during earlier meetings and committed to each other to maintain peace and tranquility at the border. Well, according to reports, the BSF officials raised various issues, including cross-border firing, facilitation of infiltration attempts by Pakistani troops and detection of tunnel along the border. Well, it was the first sector commander level meeting between the 2 border guarding forces since heavy shelling and firing experienced on the international border in October and November last year. And in related news, well, Union Home Secretary Rajiv Merishi is likely to visit Jammu and Kashmir next week and review the security situation in the state. Well, the visit bears significance as Election Commission has announced a by-election to Srinagar and Anantnag Lok Sabha constituencies, where polling will be held on 9th and 12th of April respectively. Well, during the 2-day tour, Merishi will hold meetings with the top officials of the state government, police, paramilitary forces and army, and take stock of the security situation in Jammu and Kashmir, particularly in border areas. Well, the Home Secretary is expected to call on Governor N.N. Vohra and Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti and discuss with them various issues concerning the state. And Finance Minister Arun Jaitley will chair a high-level meeting with the Reserve Bank officials today to address the issue of non-performing assets in the banking sector. Well, the meeting, which will also be attended by Financial Services Secretary, will discuss ways of a resolution of stressed assets urgently, while Chief Economic Advisor Arvind Subramanian has suggested the setting up of a bad bank to deal with the problem of non-performing loans. The Reserve Bank Deputy Governor Viral Acharya had floated the twin concept of Private Asset Management Company and National Asset Management Company for resolution of stressed assets. As on 30th of September 2016, now gross NPAs of public sector banks rose to 6.3 lakh crore rupees as against 5.5 lakh crore rupees at the end of the June quarter. More news from across the nation and nationwide. One person was killed after an under-construction building of the Central Academy for Police Training collapsed in Bhopal. 15 people were also injured in the incident. According to the latest reports, many are still feared trapped under the debris as the rescue operation is underway. Well, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has announced a compensation of 50,000 rupees to the critically injured and 25,000 rupees each to those injured. The AIADMK Parliamentary Board has been reconstituted with Party General Secretary V.K. Sasikala replacing her predecessor J. Jayalalitha as its head. The board's decision to choose AIADMK's candidates for elections and the shuffle came when the Election Commission announced a by-election to the R.K. Nagar Assembly constituency on 12th of April. A thunder squall followed by hailstorm hit Shimla and its surrounding areas, while fresh snowfall was witnessed in high hills and tribal areas. This has revived the cold wave conditions across the state. The lower reaches, however, witnessed rains which brought the temperature down and also hitting traffic. INS Tilangchang, a water jet fast attack craft, was commissioned into the Indian Navy at Kanwar Naval Base in Karnataka on Thursday. INS Tilangchang is the third ship of the four WJFACs built by the Garden Reach shipbuilders and engineers in Kolkata. The first two ships of the class, the INS Tarmugli and INS Tiyahu, were commissioned in 2016 and are based at Vishakhapatnam. On to some international news now. Well, the US has sent 400 additional troops to Syria to help local forces capture the Islamic State stronghold of Raqqa. Well, the additional deployment comprises both Marines and Army Rangers. It adds to the around 500 US military personnel already in Syria. Well, the additional US forces would be working with the local partners in Syria, that is the Syrian Democratic Forces and the Syrian Arab Coalition, and would not have a frontline role. Well, the SDF, which includes the Kurdish YPG militia, is the main US partner in the war against Islamic State insurgents in Syria. Since November last year, it has been working with the US-led coalition to encircle Raqqa, which is the main urban bastion of Islamic State in the country. The deployment comes as President Donald Trump considers a new plan to defeat IS that was submitted by the Pentagon last month. Meanwhile, US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson will host talks with coalition members ahead of an expected assault on the Raqqa. Officials from 68 nations and international organizations will be attending a two-day gathering in Washington beginning on 22nd of March.
The answer to your question is yes, we are developing a strategy, and we are in discussions with the Secretary and the Department right now. Both General Nicholson and I are forming our best advice and recommendations to the Secretary, and we look forward to moving forward with that. I do believe it will involve additional forces to ensure that we can make the advise and assist mission more effective.
And some good news coming in from the sports world. Well, Indian shuttlers PV Sindhu and Saina Nehwal advanced to the women's singles quarter-finals, while men's singles shuttler HS Pranoy lost in the second round of the All England Open Badminton Championships on Thursday. Well, 6th seed Sindhu beat Indonesian Dia Ayustin in a 21-12, 21-4 second round victory, while 8th seed Saina Nehwal beat a German qualifier Fabienne Deprez 21-18, 21-10. The only Indian men's single player left in the second round, HS Pranoy, however, failed to mount a challenge against a Chinese 7th seed Tian Huwei, losing 13-21, 5-21. Meanwhile, the Indian mixed doubles player of Pranav Jerry Chopra and N. Sikki Reddy gave their all, but they could not avoid a 19-21, 20-22 close defeat against South Koreans Yoo Yong Seong and Kim Ha Na. However, Sindhu and Saina posted easy victories on Thursday, keeping the campaign alive for India in the world's oldest badminton tournament. Well, that's it from me and my team in this edition of news. Thanks for watching.